Kia ora and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Matthew, and we've got something special behind us today because this is the smallest ever SUV from Lexus.
That's right, it's called the LBX and it's a moody little crossover. Come, let's take a look at this. Now, the Lexus LBX is the second nameplate in the Lexus history to come with 3 letters. And I know that you should know what the other one is. Actually, write your comments down below and let's see how good you guys are. But the LBX actually stands for Lexus Breakthrough Cross or crossover. And that's exactly what it is. It's a breakthrough into the, I guess, the lower end of the marketplace. And also it's compact. It's a really small sort of compact crossover. So it's very cute, fits in my pocket. The other thing is, I call it moody, is because Lexus have gone away from calling them different model numbers, and what they've done is given them mood names. So you have the Active, which is this one, you have the Cool, and also the Relax. So I would always follow the Relax with Don't Do It, but that just shows my age. Looking around the front here, what you've got is the Lexus grille. So you've got the spindle grille, so unmistakably Lexus. And look at this big smiley face in chrome along here. You've got some nice lower valance down here to make sure that there's some protection, and LED DRLs with these lovely, or the blade DRLs along here. So very, very good looking, very sharp, and I know, very urban. Now, in terms of size, you've got a length of 4.2 meters, a height of 1.56 meters, and a width of 1.8. So like I said, it really will fit in your pocket, or certainly in your garage. When it comes to wheel size, you've got they're 18 inches and also with a profile of 55. So what you've got is plenty of rubber, so it really does absorb the ground below when you're driving, which is lovely. Lots of protection around the wheel arches and down the sills down the bottom here. You've got electric door handles, which is very cool, inside and out. And actually, for me, I reckon it does look like a hot hatch on stilts a little bit. This one comes in 2-tone, so you've got the red color, actually emotional red. So if you're going to well up, there you go. And also a black roof. The roof extends right their way down here on this roofline spoiler, which actually does overhang quite considerably. You've got some privacy glass for the rear here and a wiper. Something I really like is look at this brilliant light bar across the whole width here. It does emphasize the tail of this Lexus. Lexus badging, LBX badging as well, and also the boot when you open up. You have 402 litres of boot space, or if you go for the all-wheel drive, 317. So if you like your I don't know, more security on the road, you're going to have less shopping space. Now, it may be quite a small bonnet, but there's actually quite a lot going on underneath here. What you have is a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder petrol engine. You've got a 1 kilowatt hour battery. You've got a single electrical motor on the front axle and also an ECVT. So there's a lot going on under here. Together, what you get is 100 kilowatts of power and a fuel efficiency of 3.6 litres per 100 kilometres. If you're getting from 0 to 100, it's actually quite yawnable. It's about 9 seconds, actually 9.2. And oddly, if you go for the all-wheel drive, which gives you another little electric motor on the back, and you'll obviously lose the boot space, but you actually get a 0 to 100 in 9.8 seconds. So actually slower, but more traction. Who knew?
So while Davis pointed out, there's plenty of Lexus nuances on the outside in terms of the styling and all of that, even though this might have the underpinnings of its sibling from the Toyota stables. On the inside, I think the departure is even more than it is on the outside. What we know Lexus for is a few different things. There's the aspect of design, there's quality, and there's luxury. And I think this interior brings all of those Lexus elements to this part of the market where they haven't been before, and certainly nowhere near it for a long time, ever since the departure of the CT200H. Starting off with the build quality, I have to say it's generally really good. Everything you push and sort of pull and whatever, it's all screwed together really well. There's no creaks, no movement in the materials, nothing of that sort. Speaking of the materials, the quality is again really good, what we expect from Lexus, and no different to the other cars that they make. So you have soft materials all over the dashboard as well as down the bottom, down the side as well, and then the seats themselves are leather and heated for both the passenger and driver. The other thing with Lexus is those little touches like the window operations, which are extremely quiet. The general insulation from the road as well, which is, well, Lexus do it probably one of the best in the segment, and certainly in the market in general. It's adding so much of quality and so much of luxury to this segment, which is what we would expect from Lexus when they said they were bringing out this LBX car. Remember that it is still a crossover, so that it still needs to be practical, and that means storage spaces. So you've got a cup holder down the middle here, one over there with a sort of half nook thing. You've got a wireless phone charger in there, a floating center console with some space underneath, more than enough for your glasses cases if you're Dave. And then in the side, the door cubbies are not too big, but just big enough for Dave's wallet as well. If you wanted to nick that, it's good to know you can hide it away. But generally, again, fit and finish quality is really good. The other thing that you get, which is a Lexus Touch, is on the door, of course. You get those Lexus electronic door handles. A little push and it just opens up the door for you. Now, this central screen of the LBX is very much in terms of the Lexus layout. This view currently is the sort of audio input. As you can see there, you have several sources to choose from, and as you can see there, seat heating available on touch for both driver and passenger, and your air conditioning controls down the bottom there. Note that also you get a control panel over here for actual physical buttons if you do want to change the temperature and things like that. Move to the side and you can see the, in Lexus style, all of the menus down there, including a little Lexus LBX model over there, and go into that and you can view things like your trip information, energy flow obviously, which is one of the key things with the hybrid system. And then if I progress further down, you have a connected menu, of course, with Lexus, and then down the bottom, this menu brings up the entire safety suite available. Note that this frequently used quadrant here will keep changing depending on the stuff that you use often. So it's quite a handy thing. For example, if you were to use particular features, they are available in 2 touches essentially. Note that also the max heat button, when you push that, the seat heater comes on, air conditioning temperature goes up, all of that stuff. So if you want a replacement for your air fryer, you've got one there. Swap across here and you can see just the suite of driving assist systems available, including lane departure, you've got parking support, braking, blind spot, road sign assist. It just goes on. And they've really made it a safe place to be on the inside of the LBX. Go into the settings menu again and you have plenty to play with in terms of customization. Also note that the sounds in this particular car are sort of Lexus's factory audio system, but as you go up the moods, you will start to get that Mark Levinson audio coming into play. And there is already a pre-made nook in the back for a subwoofer when you do get to that level of the LBX. In front of the driver here, you have a digital instrument cluster, and as you can see, typical Lexus fashion in the way it's laid out with the digital and sort of analog elements to it. So on the left, you've got the screen there, which has a speedo, and then if I get rid of the little LBX icon there, you can see average fuel economy. We've been doing 5 liters per 100 kilometers while not driving that efficiently and having 3 people in the car. So you can imagine that when you are doing more sort of city and urban driving with just 1 or 2 people, it will improve. You can flick through for more menus, including a compass, of course, your audio, adaptive cruise control, etc., and keep scrolling down for more information as well about the car. It even has a G-force meter. There you go. So there is so much going on in that left quarter screen over there. On the right side, of course, you have your temperature and your petrol gauge, and then everything else is just sort of very familiar if you know the Lexus hybrid range. Taking a step back, you see that there is an iView attention monitor over here on the top of the steering column, and then the steering itself is really nice and soft in leather, great stitching, and you've got the suite of buttons on either side, audio and phone controls on the left, and then your adaptive cruise control settings on the right. So really, again, just familiar with the Lexus range, very much fitting into what Lexus have done with all of their other cars.
And the back seat segment for the LBX actually starts on the front seat, because the way that Matt left his passenger seat in here, there's just no way I can make it inside into the back seat. So I actually had to bring it forward a little bit and then make my way into the back seat. because it's just getting in and out that is a little bit complicated. After you're actually into the car, there's plenty of space and it is actually comfortable. There is enough headroom and knee room, and then of course he would be able to bring the seat backwards a little bit. But given that it is a little bit of a narrower kind of car, there is no armrest for you here in the middle, and your space is a little bit compromised on if you are trying to get 5 people in the car, or 3 here in the back. Of course, you get the usual things that you would expect from a Lexus, so the materials are quite good where you are interacting with the surfaces. You get that the very interesting new way of opening the door that Matt covered in the beginning of the video, and you don't get a vent for the back in here, so you have to rely on the air conditioning that is coming from the front part, and you also get 2 USB-C ports for charging your devices. Other than that, it is pretty much like a compact car of this segment would be, because the majority of the Lexus things that you are getting are there on the front. And that's actually where we'll be for the driving as well, so we might as well get to that.
The LBX is actually quite an interesting project for Lexus. I mean, to go for a more affordable side of the market and still offer such luxury is really interesting. And also the fact that they've decided to go with 3 different moods rather than the models is again very cool. Cool, you get that. We've got the Active, and that is the base model, or I guess the more affordable model, or most affordable model. And then you've also got the Cool and the Relax, which are both in 2-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and that again ups the ante when it goes for model range or mood range. The thing that we were discussing earlier is the fact that you're probably better off going for the 2-wheel drive regardless of the model because of what it offers.
Yes, absolutely. The interesting thing with the LBX is, well, who will buy one? The buyer will be somebody who lives in an urban center or CBD, that sort of thing, whose commute, shopping trips, all of that stuff is within a relatively short range, and probably involves quite a bit of traffic, and certainly all of the driving will be done on a sealed road. So there is really no point for 4-wheel drive, especially when you throw in the fact that it's both less efficient and slower to 100. It makes perfect sense to go for just the front-wheel drive option. However, you can see from Lexus's perspective, by adding in that 4-wheel drive option, what they've done is add a point of difference to the LBX, because it's one of the only cars, if not the only car in this segment, which offers a 4-wheel drive option, as it does also with the hybrid powertrain.
Yep, we discussed that as well. So having a hybrid hybrid powertrain in this sort of size category is quite unique, and also really great and efficient. So quite a welcomed vehicle, really.
Absolutely. And with the current concerns obviously around carbon emissions, petrol fuel efficiency, you've got other manufacturers, constantly downsizing engines. But what Lexus has done is throw in that extra hybrid power and make the car really efficient. So even when we've not been driving it efficiently, even when we've got all the heating going, nearly a car full, we can get 5 liters per 100 Ks, which, is a good efficiency level for anyone.
And as far as the drive goes, I kind of like that off-kilter 3-cylinder tone. So when you do put your foot down, it's got a nice little note to it. So it feels a lot sort of bigger and gruntier than it is. And yeah, as the 0 to 100 time would attest, it's not super rapid, but probably very sufficient for the market which is a towny sort of urban vehicle.
Absolutely, and the fact that it has a CVT gearbox means it is prepped to offer that best sort of scenario driving for traffic, for being in town, and then at the same time managing the petrol and electric drivetrains, because that's something that Toyota have refined over decades now, that technology. So when they put it into a car like the LBX, in its Lexus form, it makes a really good finished product. And then couple that with the fact of Lexus's craftsmanship and quality, and you have a really good offering in this space for people who want the Lexus brand but who live in an urban center where, for example, parking spaces are smaller, you know, turnings are tighter, all of those things.
And it's a good thing that you brought up about the quality, because I've driven the Cool as well, and the finishing in there, you've got the Alcantara, you've got the extra added bits of luxury. I think you've got a head-up display, so you do have a few different tasty treats for a drive. But again, on the drive, visibility around it's good for a vehicle that does feel easy to manage and drives a lot like, I don't know, a sort of hot hatch or a small hot hatchback.
Yeah, I agree. And dynamically, the chassis is really good in terms of handling. You know, Dave has been doing what a car journalist does in terms of cornering. And I think the LBX has been up to the mark in terms of keeping its composure going around corners. You know, we haven't heard tire squeal. There's not that much body roll. And at the same time, it's a bit of fun too. So
yeah, absolutely. You can have a little bit of joy, well, a fair amount of joy, and also a fair amount of luxury, although wouldn't necessarily say there's too much luxury in the rear.
It is certainly a car more so for people who, you know, it's either one person driving the car most of the time or maybe a couple, and occasionally you may have people in the back or say children in a child seat, but apart from that, it's not really that usable for adults as a full-time basis. The back seats specifically.
So there you have it, the new Lexus LBX. It's not as, although it has 3 letters, it's not quite as fast as the other 3-letter Lexus, but it's probably a little bit more practical, but there you go. It's a cute town, city, urban SUV crossover that really just fulfill that purpose, and it does have plenty of boot space for your stuff, and also plenty of economy for, you know, to spend a lot of time between sips, so, or between fill-ups. So it's nice, and does come with that Lexus luxury. So yeah, nice.
It's a good step forward from Lexus to introduce their brand and their product into a market that is not familiar with it, but at the same time may want a Lexus. And I think it brings all of the Lexus luxuries and niceties that, you know, the brand has become famous for in a compact package, perfect for cities and urban centers.
Quite frankly though, go 2-wheel drive. Top tip. See you on the next one, and make sure you subscribe. See ya.